All right. So welcome to the National REIC podcast with myself, John Zwirzina, and Jeff Green. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. It was hot today, but the clouds are rolling in beautiful West Palm Beach, and it's cooling off a little bit.
All right. And our guest today is Ben Mallah. Ben Mallah is a commercial expert, YouTube sensation. Ben was born and raised in Rockaway, Queens. True rags to riches story. Ben started flipping cars, then houses, and now just got bigger and bigger. Bigger buildings like hotels, shopping centers, apartment buildings. Ben, how's it going?
Fine. How you guys doing today?
Fantastic.
You're down there in Palm Beach.
That's right.
Hanging out with Trump in Palm Beach, baby.
He's down the road. He's right down the road.
Membership on his club doubled when he became president.
It's supply and demand.
That is true.
Yeah, you're down in Trump land. He loves Palm Beach.
Except for the traffic. The traffic. You can't go boating when he's around. There's a lot of road closures and stuff, but you just got to go with it. You find other things, go in a different direction that day. That's all.
Yeah.
Come on down to Clearwater.
I just bought a Tahoe yesterday, a brand new one. I am ready for a road trip. So don't say that twice. I'll be at your door.
You got no presidents here.
That's okay. So,
what's the first building you bought in,
The first building I bought? Well, honestly, and I mean honestly, people say honestly, you wonder why. You're not going to be honest?
Yeah.
Honestly, you get worried when people say honestly. My first income property was a boarded up piece of crap, pretty much crack house that nobody else wanted. It was I got lucky, it was a duplex in a very, very rough part of Oakland, West Oakland. And, I used to go to those auctions and, everybody used to bid on the courthouse steps. And, I used to basically pick up all the scraps that nobody else wanted, because they didn't want to deal with the neighborhood. They were afraid. There's a lot of reasons. But, growing up in the projects in the slums of Rockaway, New York, it really didn't bother me at all. I kind of blended in. I started out with practically nothing. I had to scrape up the broker. I already had a reputation in Oakland of being into heavy Section 8 property management. I was the guy that helped the people that nobody else wanted to help. I was at the bottom, all right? I was there to help the poorest of the poor, the lowest of the low, people that had all kinds of problems in their life, families. I work with mostly Section 8 housing. So, and it was really, really rough back in the late 80s and early 90s. It was very dangerous, a lot of drugs, a lot of crime. I think it was the murder rate capital back then. I was willing to go where a lot of other people didn't want to go. And I scraped together whatever I could and was able to, get a broker to believe in me and get me a loan. I think it was like a D. We had different types of paper. You have A paper, which is the best, where you get a real good loan from a bank. You got B paper from like a smaller bank. Then you got C paper. It was pretty much a hard money loan. So this guy used to give me a hard money loan. And, I proven myself to be a good borrower. So he kept giving me loans until I got to move up the ladder to C paper, then B paper. And, here today we're at A paper. That's how I started. I fixed up a duplex, went in there, actually had to physically, and the cops wouldn't help you. I'll tell you that right now. So I had to go over there and pretty much without, I always try to do a peaceful way of getting rid of people. I'd figure out a way to peacefully get them out of the house if they were squatters or, druggies living in there. And, I took over the property and scraped together materials, even if I had to buy used carpeting, whatever it took, because I didn't have much money. And get the place fixed up so it could pass Section 8 inspection and rent it out. And now I took garbage and turned it into gold. Because once I had those 2 Section 8 contracts, that place was worth money. So I took a place that would make nothing every month and was a piece of crap in the neighborhood. And next thing you know, I got 2 contracts on it, one for maybe $1,000 a month, one for $800 a month. And now it's an $1,800 gross income property. So then I go to the bank, and then the same broker would refinance it and get me a C-paper loan. And, I pull some cash out on a refi, and I go out and try to find the next piece of crap I can buy. So, it was basically just keep recycling the money and never pissing the money away on personal stuff, and, kind of keep the ball rolling until you build up some sort of, real war chest.
Yeah.
How do you like, I hear you like these 1031 exchanges. How deep did you get in that, like your first couple properties, or how long did it take you to learn that great formula?
Well, luckily, I learned about it from other guys, and when I heard, and I looked into it and, read up on it. As soon as I started, doing my first property, my accountant recommended it. 1031 is basically the reason why I'm where I'm at today, because the 1031 forced me to recycle the money and invest it into the new deal. So, by not touching the profits or my initial investment and roll into the next deal and make more money, it kind of really helped me grow to who I am today. Because I don't want to pay tax. I hate giving away money. If the government says, hey, you ain't got to pay tax, or you can defer the tax, is a true word,
Yeah.
You can defer the tax and not pay it now, I'm going to do it. Because back then, if you made $100,000 and you owned the place for over a year, and you didn't like it, and you want to sell it for whatever reason, or you wanted to capitalize on the gain, that's $20,000 is a lot of dough to just, give away a big chunk of your profit. So, I always was a strong believer of the 1031 exchange.
So what are you looking for most? I mean, what is your sweet spot? What is your best investment? What do you like the most to invest in?
I like all types of real estate. It doesn't matter what you buy, as long as you buy it right. You have to buy it right, whether it's an apartment building, whether it's a house, whether it's a shopping center, a hotel. You got to know what you're buying, and you got to buy it right, because the day you make money is the day you buy that property. Everything else you can always hire somebody to fix something. You can always change things in a property. But how much you pay for that property and getting it as cheap as you can, that's the key to making money. We all know it. Everybody knows it.
Oh, yeah. Well, there's a lot of people out there that are beginners, and they want inspiration, motivation. They really want to learn everything. So, some things here we really just got to explain to everybody. So
don't be afraid to play the game. Okay. And you need good realtors to work with. If you have a good realtor that you're working with, tell them, play the game, all right? And you're not insulting anybody coming in 20 or 30% less than what they're asking. You can always, there's a lot of old sayings. You can always go up, but you can't go down when you're a buyer. Okay, so play the game. If the guy wants $100,000 for the house, offer him 70. What's he going to do? He's going to come back and give you a counter offer. Sometimes I've gone back and forth 6 or 7 times before we get to the bottom of the contract price. Play the game. Make your realtor earn that commission, baby.
No, yeah, I agree. But the 1031 exchanges, for people that don't know, what is an adequate replacement? How much time do you have to close in or name a property, etc.?
We do so many that we're always looking for new deals, because from the day that you close, you got to start your 1031 before you close and sell your deal. Because from the day that you close, you only have 45 days to start identifying properties. Okay, so I'm looking for properties before I even close, so I already have them lined up. Once you really get in the game, you got to constantly be out there looking for every deal coming through. And you can list as many as you want, but you got 45 days to identify properties you intend to purchase and use those 1031 funds to buy. Then you have the remainder of 6 months to close the deal. The biggest thing you got to do is you got to put the 1031 money with somebody you can trust. The problem was 1031 exchanges weren't regulated. And a lot of guys went out there and they were stealing people's money and they were pissing it away. I watched an episode of American Greed. I couldn't believe it. how the guy was going out buying 1031 companies just to get his hands on other people's money to piss it away. He's locked up in jail right now, thank God. But you got to put it with a reputable company that's insured and you know you can trust. You can't put it with Joe Schmo. So when you sell your property, you got to bring that 1031 exchange person in to be the intermediary, and they're going to take possession of your funds, and you're going to have a lot of documents that have to be signed. Somebody needs to know what they're doing. And then that person's going to hold those funds until it's time for you to close that deal. So, you know, be 1031, you got time frames, you got to have people you can trust involved, and it's a very simple process. You just got the right people involved. And always consult with your accountant.
Yeah. So
what else you want to know?
I want to know more about cap rates. I watched one of these things earlier, and you were just spitting these numbers out and multiplying and doing all that stuff. And for the people that don't know, maybe you could just run us through that and kind of what you're looking for on the seller sheet, what they might have left off, how much you really put in vacancy ratio for your calculations. I mean, how do you determine what you want to pay?
You know, it depends on the type of real estate. You know, every type of real estate has different moving parts. You know, in retail, it doesn't have that many moving parts, and that's where cap rates really belong. They belong in retail or industrial type deals where they're mostly no landlord responsibilities, and any expenses you have can be built into the CAM at the end of the year. So I don't believe in a cap rate when it comes to apartment buildings or hotels, because you may have unexpected expenses that you cannot get reimbursed by the tenant for. You know, the tenant rented a hotel room, he rented your room, he's gone. The tenant rents your apartment, he's only going to pay you what the lease says every month. You're responsible for everything else. You can't bill back the tenant. So whoever came up with cap rates in residential type housing or multifamily housing or hotels, I don't see how. They just came up with another trick to sell your property. Cap rates are pretty simple. I mean, you know, basically, you know, if you buy a place for $1 million and it has a 10 cap, that means that you're supposed to get 100 grand a year. If it's a 5 cap, you get 50 grand a year. Am I right, Ben?
Yep.
My son's here as my consultant. Whenever I say something that's not exactly true, my son's going to kick me under the table. Which I used to do to my guy that taught me the business. You know, so a cap rate, you know, you got to make sure you understand the deal when you buy it. What are your responsibilities? What can you bill back to tenant if it's retail? You know, basically, you know, it's all money in and money out. You know, if you go out and you buy yourself a fourplex and you got 4 apartments that are renting $500 a month, you got $2 grand a month coming in. All right, here it is. You got $2 grand a month coming in. You got to sit down and actually list every penny you're going to spend operating that place. Your taxes, your insurance, your maintenance, your utility costs if you have any, your landscaping. You got to sit down and have a budget. And you got to leave a little cushion room there. Because if you put yourself in a corner, you might get in trouble. You know, and you can't always raise rents. It depends on the market. You can't see the future. So you got to be real careful in any real estate transaction you do.
Going by that, do they change 1031 exchange rules each year or every few years? Do you have to? Does your attorney keep you up to date with that kind of stuff, or?
You know, I haven't seen a lot of changes that I remember or aware of, but I'm sure my accountant and my lawyer would notify me if there were. But to my knowledge, it's still basically, it's a very simple process. You sell your property, the money doesn't go in your pocket. It goes to a 1031 exchange person that holds it for you. You go out, you got 45 days to find a new deal. You got up to 6 months to close the deal, and you don't pay any, you defer all the gain from the previous deal that you sold. It goes wrapped right into the new one. And really, you know, you don't pay until, you know, you actually touch the money down the road. Now, if you touch the money, yeah, you're going to have a tax bill. And otherwise, you know, it's like the mafia. You die. You don't get out till you die.
Yeah.
And, when you die, then it goes to your heirs, what they call stepped up basis, to the value of whatever the property is that day. So your people that inherit anything don't get burnt. They don't have to recapture, you know, the deferred taxes.
All right. Jeff?
Yes, we had a property today, actually, that we had an inspection on. It was started at 9 in the morning. Of course, it ended at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And it was up in North Palm, built in '68, and they discovered cast iron plumbing. So of course they went in there with the cameras and did all that, but it looks like it's going to work out. What was the largest building that you've ever purchased and renovated and resold?
My son actually went to Texas under my poor advice. The only project I regret doing was I bought 1,000 apartments on one street in Pasadena, Texas. And I sent my poor son out there. He was like in his 20s, and to take it over, and it was rough. And he spent 3 years of his life there, which, but we actually ended up making money, but I'd rather, have not done it. So, we bought 1,000 units on one street. How long ago was that, Ben? 2006, 7? Oh, no, we sold it right during the crash, did we?
Yeah,
in 9 or 10?
Yeah, 9 or 10. We bought it.
Yeah. We sold it right during the crash, luckily, somehow. And, eventually, we're glad to get out of that thing.
Well, it just sold recently for like 60 a door.
Yeah, we paid 17 a door. Just be careful. Just because something's 17 a door or something's that cheap, you gotta look and see why. There's a reason why. But so we've done 1,000 units in Texas, and then we went to Houston, and we bounced around in, a couple of 100 unit complexes here, a couple of 100 unit, a handful of them. We, and did all right. But Texas definitely wasn't for me. We've done a lot of stuff, a lot of units. And then we bought buildings like that had polybutylene plumbing in them.
Oh,
my God. Be careful of, because in the 80s, a lot of contractors were building with polybutylene plumbing, and any lawsuits and any money that was available to compensate anybody is totally gone and done with. So you're not going to get compensated. We got to rip the plumbing out of 200 and some apartments in Tampa and replace it all.
Yeah, that's got to be hard.
But we knew it going in. We factored it in. So we've kind of seen a lot of stuff. We've seen foundation work. We've seen roofs. We've seen it all. I mean,
Chinese drywall.
Chinese drywall. You look at Chinese drywall. I have a good deal for you.
Yes, but it wasn't such a great deal, was it?
Yeah, we never bought any Chinese drywall. Most of our stuff was Italian, I think.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm from the Italy as well. Largest profit. What was your best payday?
On a single asset?
Yes.
I've had a lot of good ones. The biggest home run that sticks out in my brain is George Steinbrenner owned a hotel here in Tampa called Bay Harbor. And then I bought it from the guy that bought it from him, who was a big RV guy out here, the biggest in the country. And we bought that place for like, what was it, 17 million or something? And then we went in, it was the Best Western. I got an expert that helps us in the hotel business. We went in there for a few years, we did a little deal with Hulk Hogan, opened up a little beach bar with him, and that, became a major thing that I'll never do again. I don't want to be in a bar restaurant. That went nuts. But the hotel actually traded for like, what was it, 34 million or something? They even gave me a trophy. The people that bought it, I never got a trophy before. They gave me a trophy. I think it was like 34. So we made like 17 million. And then the property, no, we didn't, because the property, what my son's good at is that he don't let me touch the money. I don't touch the money, basically. Whatever the property's cash flow, we spend it on the rehab of other properties. And that hotel made enough money to pay for its own rehab. So we just took the cash flow, we pumped that into the rehab, and we made about 17 million on that one deal and only owned it a few years. So that was probably the biggest payday I had on one single deal. But I did sell my whole portfolio during the crash for about 70 million. But that was a combination of, I don't know, a lot of properties, 20 or something, maybe 18 something. We've been all over the block.
Well, how about, go ahead.
I have a question here from one of the panelists who wants to, Jonathan Barron from Brevard County, Florida. He wants to know, Ben, could you give some tips on establishing a banking relationship for a beginner and the importance of it?
There's nothing more important than your relationship with the bank. The bank is the money. They got all the money. They're putting 80% of the money up. You want to have as many relationships with as many banks as you can. If you're just starting out, go to a bank, sit down with them, put some money in their bank, and say, listen, I want to invest in real estate. Fill out an application, give them your tax returns, give them whatever they want, and say, what's it going to take, credit-wise, money-wise, for me to do a deal? The bank is your best friend. I have, the closest friend I got are the brokers and the bankers. The brokers send me the deals, and the bankers fund the deals. All I got to do is come in with my little piece and fix the place up and orchestrate everything. So I highly encourage everybody, get in a bank tomorrow. Sit down with they're there to loan money. That's how banks make money. I've made banks big money. I've had banks thank me because they've made, the more loans they get, that's how they make money. And then they go and sometimes get sold to bigger banks. And banking is the key to everything, borrowing their money. So, and then as you borrow more money from people and you have a history, your rate goes down, your leverage goes up, but the bank is your best friend. I'm going to tell you right now. Go to the bank.
All right. Jeff?
Well, let's see. What I want to know is, how is your growing pains? I mean, you started out, you flipped something. When did you take on your family to work with you? How hard did all that work out? When did you know it was time to just go balls to the wall and employ and just get big?
I was a single parent when I was very young. And, I may not have been the greatest father in the world, but I knew I was working hard to, help them when they're older and get us out of the hood. My kids all started helping me at a very young age, whether it was picking up garbage, whatever it took. I tried to, honestly, I was, in my 20s, I was going balls to the wall as much as I could because I knew that was my only ticket to life. I wasn't going to be a doctor. I wasn't going to be a lawyer. I was in the Army. I knew really, and I watched other guys. I see these other guys, everybody I know that don't work so hard, because you really don't work that hard in real estate if you buy the right deals, let's face it. Okay, you can get to a point where it's not like you're physically working hard. As long as you got the right people involved. I've seen all the guys driving fancy cars and fancy houses and living life large. These guys are in real estate. Okay, so when I was in my 20s, I already knew what I wanted to do. I just had to learn it and try to do it better than the next guy. And it worked out, and I always encourage my kids too. If my kids wanted to be doctors or lawyers, so be it. But they didn't. They wanted to help me and pay me back for all the hard work I did, and they wanted to help grow the business, and they've done that. And luckily, my wife, my third wife now, which is my last one, is definitely the right one. Her family has helped me tremendously too along the years. When you marry a Mexican, you inherit 15 family members. So it worked out really well for me. I don't know. So we've been very close family over the years, and we all worked together, and we grew and grew and grew, and it worked out great. So, if you have family members that you can join up with, but there have been some family members that, are no longer with us for reasons too. So it goes both ways sometimes. Yeah. But, I'm very fortunate that all my kids work except the 12-year-old. He's spending most of his time on a golf course. And from our sweat, he's living a good life, but he'll come around. But yeah, both my sons and I raised my sister-in-law as a daughter. She's in the hotel business, and all the kids have really done tremendous, tremendous things for the company and me and the family. I mean, they've taken on projects that I don't have the stomach for anymore, to tell you the truth. I don't have the energy. I don't have the tolerance. But they'll get in there and they'll grab it by the horns and they'll turn the place around, and we'll do very well. So I'm very fortunate.
All right. This is a question for Ben Jr. So I guess what's your role in the company acquisitions, or pretty much everything, or
everything I could push on him, I'm pushing on him. He's 33 years old, and I'm dumping everything on his lap now. I need a break.
So yeah, basically, my dad shoots me the emails that they shoot him, and I handle it. No, basically, what I do is I oversee our accounting department, which is a team of about 11 people in that office, but that's mostly due to the hotels because it's a lot of numbers and calculating and reconciliations on a monthly basis.
How many employees do you have total in the company, including all the hotels, the apartments, the retail? How many employees you got? You're overseeing?
Probably 700.
700 employees.
Oh, that's a lot.
Hotel. Let me tell you something. You can run a 200-unit apartment building with 4 people. 2 people in the office, 2 people in maintenance. That's it.
Hotel takes
200 rooms takes 100 people almost to run, or at least 75 employees with housekeeping, front desk, food and beverage, maintenance, you name it, sales department. Hotels will kick your butt. When you buy a hotel, it's not like regular real estate. It's a business you're buying.
Yeah, so you have to, I mean, of course you have heads of departments and you have, certain people that you rely on heavily, and we have a great district manager, I call him, that oversees our whole hotel portfolio, and then he has people under him. So it's kind of a trickle down, you're just watching everybody who's working. But basically during the acquisition stage, I underwrite all the deals. I verify all income. I verify all expenses. I do the underwriting. I show my dad the cap rate if it's possible on a retail deal. On a multifamily deal, we put out what's called a pro forma, and we show that this is our hopes and dreams of operating this hotel if nothing goes wrong, and we throw in a cushion on that. But other than that, I kind of just oversee.
Building retail now.
We're developing some properties right now. We're developing 4,800 square feet on International Drive, which I have available, 2,400 square
Anybody
feet.
need 2,400 square feet on I Drive, 5905 I Drive. We got a brand new retail space for rent. We just lost our tenant.
So I'm kind of branching out into everything that my father is set the company up to do. He set it up to be a development company. He set it up to go out there and be a management company. But the only difference is instead of me working for somebody else and opening up a management company and running other people's assets, I'm doing it for my family and for my father. So I basically just kind of oversee the entire management of the portfolio.
Tax credit housing, he's involved with the state and all their regulations. He's involved with Marriott and all their rules as a franchise, Holiday Inn, Choice, all of them. He's got to deal with all that stuff. And there's a lot of rules and regulations, and he does it way better than I ever did it. Way better than I could ever do it. So I
appreciate that, but
that's good.
It's hard to live up to your
I'm not good with the bureaucratic stuff. He's really good with all that. The state's we have such restrictions on some of the tax credit properties that we buy. It's amazing. We can only rent to farm workers. You have to rent to people with certain incomes. There's a lot of rules and regulations. So he does extremely well, and without any formal training, really.
I was going to ask that. I was like, one of my questions was, did he learn this stuff from you? Or did he go to college to just get the numbers right? I don't know.
Number one, I never went a day to high school.
Mm-hmm.
In New York, I already knew how to get high on my own. I didn't need to go to school. Okay, so I never had any education except, working and learning and reading contracts and learning on my own. And I did have learn a lot of stuff when I worked at the Housing Authority and HUD and government levels, really. But, he went to school. He got I let all my kids go to college, and Ben got he got a 1-year degree in beer pong. He went to a school in California. He picked a school because that's where Girls Gone Wild was filmed. And, I went down there after a year and visited him, and I'm looking at furniture made out of beer kegs. I said, you know what? I don't think college is for you. And let me see the courses you're taking.
Oh, it was for me. I just don't think he wanted me.
Yeah, it was partying. So, and his younger brothers pretty much did the same thing. They went to school, they partied like college kids for a year, and I snatched them out. I got out of the system, and then they went to work. So he did take one course like witchcraft or some nonsense, astrology, or I don't know what he was partying. So he's really good at beer pong. I know that, or used to be. He used to get awards for that, but so after a year, college isn't for everybody, and if they wanted to become doctors or lawyers or whatever, go to college, that would have been great. I had no problem with that, but it definitely benefited me more that they didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm not crying the blues. I'm not complaining. I'm actually happy it worked out the way it worked out, because it's really, I sleep at night knowing I got some real backup, you know.
It was more of a education by experience. I mean, my father literally would take me and say, hey, you're moving to Texas. And by the way, this is a tax credit building, and you need to learn how to run it. You need to, whatever, you need to go online, you figure out a course, you take a course, or you grab a book, or you talk to the people who you're reporting to on a monthly basis, and you ask them, what am I supposed to do? Don't be afraid to ask. You know, that's one thing in this industry that I think a lot of newcomers are afraid. They want to make themselves seem like they know everything, but there's people out there that you just have to ask the question, and they'll be more than happy to tell you how to do it. And that's kind of how I learned, is just by doing. You know, I knew a lot more than I thought when I first started in the apartment side. You know, I knew how to give a 3-day notice because I used to watch my dad do that. I knew that rent had to be collected because it was, you know, I saw my dad collecting rent. So I knew the basics, but, you know, the formal stuff, you know, you can go to your local Bay Area apartment association. You can go to anywhere and just ask them, and they'll be more than happy to
Every
help
single
you.
person in the world, whether you're in real estate or not, should take the Real Estate Principles 101. That's the course that was required to get a license. Even if you don't get a license, take that one course any way you can, and at least introduces you to the basic principles of real estate. I recommend that for everybody. You know, you don't have to be a major in anything. You got to know the basics, because real estate's different. Every situation is different. Every property is different. You know, but if you know the basics, you know, that gives you a good start.
I agree.
John, you got questions from some of the panelists?
I have a bunch of questions from panelists. So I'm going to scroll back up here for a second. So I'm going to start off. So we have Alex Foster was asking, how should he go about buying his first commercial property? You know, starting off with a realtor, mortgage broker, I guess.
You absolutely need, before you start looking for property, you want to go shopping with money in your pocket. You don't want to go out there until you got your financing lined up or your money lined up, because you're pretty much wasting your time. You got to know how much you can buy, how much you can leverage, you know, what you can get a loan for. If you find a property for $100 grand, how much is the bank going to want you to put down? What's your interest rate going to be? How long of a term is the loan going to be for? How much interest only period they're going to give you? You know, you got to work with the bank. The bank is your you know, the machine that keeps everything moving. So go to the bank and get comfortable with getting a loan. Get pre-qualified. If you want to go out and buy, I don't know what type of commercial property, but you better find a broker that only does that type of real estate.
And in Florida, you can call Palm Beach Investors Realty, Jeff Green.
Thanks for that tag there, John.
I got another question from Deborah Curtis in West Palm Beach. Ben, did you ever use any other funding sources other than banks?
There's a guy in a bar named Lefty. You go down past the woman's room, take a right. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
You know, I traditionally like to deal with real lenders. You know, whether I don't care if it's a credit union or any type of, you know, let me tell you something. Mortgage brokers work for you for free. If you find a mortgage broker at first, they don't make any money unless they close the deal and get you the loan. Okay, so just like real estate agents, they work for you for free if you're the buyer, because the seller pays them. Use these people. That's their job. That's their profession. That's what they specialize with. They know everything. Okay, so find a mortgage broker at first if you're not familiar with financing, and tell a mortgage broker, and he'll put you out there to 10 or 20 different banks, and he'll get you the best deal based on what you got to bring to the table.
Right.
So, you know, I would definitely work. At first, I swore I wouldn't do a deal at first when I was young without the mortgage guy. His name was Fishman, Rich Fishman. He's long gone in San Diego somewhere, living like a king. But you find that local mortgage broker, all he does is get people loans. Or you can do it online too, but it's a little impersonal online. You know, if it's a house, you can do it online. I hear that works pretty well now. But commercial real estate, you know, and then you want to get a relationship with banks eventually. But then you don't need a broker. If you feel good that the bank's giving you the best deal, then you just work with the same bank. But, you know, you definitely need to work with brokers, whether it's mortgage or sales brokers, because they're there to help you. And they don't get paid unless they get the job done.
Yeah.
They're not going to waste their time with you if they can't get the job done, believe me.
Yeah. Another question from Jonathan Barron from Rockledge, Florida. At what point, Ben, did you make the transition from single-family houses to multifamily and commercial? And do you still do single-family house rehabs, flips, or anything?
You know, honestly, I was never really big into single-family houses. I'd buy them on the auction block if they were cheap, and I could fix them up and rent them out and maybe sell them down the road. But they're always rental-type houses. Very rarely did I ever do anything residential for people to live in. You know, the only houses I did were my own that I lived in. I pretty much started with duplexes, you know, because I liked the fact that I had 2 incomes coming in, 2 rents, and 1 tenant moved out. I'm still alive. I still got money coming in. You know, I never really, you know, you can do houses, but the point is, it's so much easier to have 10 apartments in one location than to have 10 houses all over town. Okay, your expenses are down, your time is down. You don't have much time when it's all in one location, you know. But if you're flipping houses for people to live in, that's a whole different ballgame. Everything I did was for rental income. I didn't buy spec, you know, houses and then fix them up and sell them. That wasn't me.
Gotcha. Another question from Irvin's Benjamin.
But I will tell you this.
Go ahead.
In Junior, every couple of years, he'll buy a foreclosure, he'll buy a fixer-upper, he'll buy like the cheapest house or the roughest house in the nicest neighborhood, and then he'll fix it up. He'll live there for 2 years, and then he'll sell it, and then his profit is tax-free. As long as you live there for 24 months, if he bought a house once for like, what was it, 200 something? 200, and you sold it for 400. You fixed it up, almost 5, and you fixed it up. Whatever, you made a couple of $100,000 on a friggin' house.
Yeah.
And it was tax-free. You lived there for 2 years, he didn't have to pay any tax. And then he turns around, he buys another one for 500, which is going on. That's now is worth about 900, and he's lived there over 2 years. So you can every 2 years, a lot of people will buy a house, live in it, fix it up, and then in 2 years, on that 2-year anniversary, they'll have it all lined up to sell. Just don't close before your 2 years are up. You can actually start trying to sell a house 90 days before then. And all your profit is tax-free.
Yeah, no, good point. Irvin's Benjamin wants to know, where do you find your buyers from for your properties, and where do you get what motivates you in real estate?
Well, number one, if I got a property for sale, I give it to the experts. I give it to the broker. Now, number one, I'm going to tell you, and this is one of my secrets, okay? Everybody's getting a secret here.
There you go.
All right? Get ready. This is the secret to success, and it brings other people success. If a broker or a salesperson finds you a deal, when you're done and ready to sell it, give it back to them to sell. They make money again, and you have the loyalty that you would not believe how far that'll get you. Give back to the person that helped you find that place. Give it back to them to sell it. All right? That's a rule that I use, and I've been extremely successful doing that. Because brokers know when they sell me a deal, not only do they make money today, they're going to make money a year or two from now, again off of me. So be loyal to the brokers that bring you the deals. And if you want to sell something, you got to put it in the hands of somebody that sells that particular product in that particular area. Give it to somebody that you can easily prove that they're an expert in what you're selling.
So that goes for anybody. So I guess you would, if somebody brought any agent, broker brought you a deal, you would look at it and use them, I guess, if they brought it to you?
Whoever brings me the deal represents me. Now, a lot of times I will find deals that are, through the listing agent putting them out there.
Right.
I'll go to the listing agent and I'll work with him. you know, and the listing agents, whether it's a listing agent, whoever brings you the deal, that's the person you got to be loyal to, because they're the person that made you the money.
Right.
They're the person bringing you the deal and you're going to make money off of. Okay. And then they're also eager more to help you, and they're eager more to help you find more deals. And they're also eager to push you ahead of everybody else because they know they're going to do future business. It's all about relationships. It's all about connections. It's all about contacts, future relationships, making money, people knowing that they're going to make money off of you in the future.
No, I agree. Another question from Jonathan in Rockledge, Florida is, what's the minimum number of units that you recommend aiming for when going into commercial multifamily?
Starting out?
Yes.
I mean, if you're just starting out, you know, you got to do whatever you don't want to overextend yourself. You know, start off small. You know, if you find a cheap house and you think you can rent it out and the rent's going to pay all the mortgage and the taxes and the insurance and the maintenance and still give you a cash flow, try a house. But the problem is that that person moves out of that house, you got nobody paying your rent. I would go a duplex, triplex, fourplex. You know, 1 to 4 units is still considered residential. And you have a lot more protection in real estate when you're getting into the business. When you get into 5 or more, that's considered commercial. And then the courts and the laws expect you to know what the hell you're doing somewhat. But 1 to 4, the laws protect people from 1 to 4. And you can also get FHA financing on 1 to 4. The veterans, I know, VA, you know, so start small and grow. You know, don't bite off more than you can chew. You know, don't buy 3 casinos. Don't get me wrong. I'm good with Trump. I think he really stirred a lot of shit up. But you don't buy 3 casinos in the same goddamn neighborhood. Okay? You compete with each other. You compete with yourself. Just like me and Ben, if it's over 300 units, we tend not to look at the project because we're competing with ourselves. We got too much inventory here.
Right.
You don't want to compete with yourself. You want to, you know, be a competitive person in the market. You can always try to outdo the neighbor's property and you know, and offer maybe more amenities or something he ain't got. But you don't want to do it to yourself, you know.
You don't want to be the whole neighborhood.
You don't want to be the whole neighborhood. You want to be in the sandbox. You don't want to be the sandbox.
Well, certain people, like Grant Cardone says, like nothing under 16 units or, you know, stuff like that. So I didn't know if, like, is there a rule you live by?
Well, you know, under 16 units, you know, you're not going to make a whole shitload of money. Let's face it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but you got to start somewhere. I don't care if you go out and buy a duplex tomorrow. If you got nothing right now and you go out tomorrow and you buy a duplex and you're positive cash flowing even $300 a month, that's $300 a month that don't take up none of your time. Okay, that's more in your pocket, and you're gonna be able to depreciate the income at the end of the year, depreciate the property, so you're probably not gonna pay any taxes on it. I mean, everybody's got their own levels of steps, you know, but it's easy to take small steps before you take big steps, and it's a lot less risky too. So everybody should start off small, work your way up. Don't jump into something where you're in over your head. You say, holy shit, what the hell am I doing? I mean, I've seen that happen to people. You know, so start off small, work your way up. You know, you can always sell a property and buy something bigger. You know, it's the way it is.
Well, the question we get over and over is how do you make the leap? But it's kind of the same thing. You're doing it now, whether it's residential, commercial. It's just another zero, as they say. You just need your 20% down. Is there a big difference? What's your opinion on that?
I mean, you got to have the experience. You know, if you start off managing small properties, you're going to be able to automatically be able to manage large properties. But, you know, you got to have the experience. You got to know what to do, how to handle things, how to rent an apartment out, how to fix it up, how not to piss money away, how to make sure you cash flow, how to get a good interest rate on your mortgage. You know, you got to start off with a comfort level. Too many people get out there and overbuy. I've seen a lot of foreigners come to this country. They think they're so brilliant. They come to America and they buy up properties, and they lose them because they don't understand how the business works.
Yeah.
We love the Chinese people with our property management.
Look at that hotel. You know, in the Bahamas there's a hotel there, not in Atlantis, but near the airport. It's called Bahia Mar. The Chinese, they came over there, they built the place. It probably cost them, who knows how many, $1 billion or whatever. They couldn't open it. They built this big, giant Chinese new casino hotel, and they couldn't open it. Luckily, they found some management company or whatever, I think Hyatt or whoever had to come in and take the whole thing over. I mean, things on paper are not reality also. Reality is different than paper. Everything looks good on paper, but once you get in there and you're dealing with reality, it's a whole different ballgame. You got to allow for things to happen. You got hurricanes, you got hot water heaters break down, you got all kinds of stuff. So don't bite off more than you can chew.
Did you jump into that condo conversion craze when they had it up? Did you?
He was a rich motherfucker. Let me tell you.
Did you get into the condo
Find
conversion
him one day.
or did you pass that along?
I'm sorry. Say it again.
The condo conversions. You remember when everybody was taking apartment buildings and they were going and making condos out of it?
These guys came to town from, Miami. I remember they were buying everything, Latin America. They were going to convert every friggin' apartment in the world to a condo. Bullshit. There's a reason why we have tenants and renters. Because they can't be owners yet in that period of life. They don't want to be owners. And they were going to convert everything in the worst neighborhoods to condos. It was the biggest bullshit I've ever seen. And yes, I did make a lot of money off of flipping to them. And then I bought the properties back when their condo plan fell through the toilet. So, condo conversion days were hot days. And a lot of banks lost a lot of money over it.
So,
John, do you have a question?
I do. So I have one other.
More like condoms than condos to the bank.
So what's the closest you've ever cut it time-wise in doing your 1031 exchange? Have you ever cut it down to the wire, like,
if I start getting down to that 15 days, 20 days before my 6 months are up, you don't want to be around me. I'm not a pleasant person. Ask my wife. I'm not pleasant. It does get a little nervous, but the market's the market. And sometimes, I don't want to overpay because I'm in a 1031 and I might, but at the end of the day, I've been lucky. We've been able to come through. Right now, we got about 4 or 5 closings we got to do this month on big properties. And luckily, we're always out there looking. The point is, the more you look, the more you find. And the more people you got looking for you, the more shit you're going to find too. I work with everybody. I don't care who it is. If a bum on the street says, hey, I heard about this place down the block, it's going foreclosure, I'll listen to him. Yeah. I don't care. Me and my son went out. He dragged me out the other night at freaking midnight to take me back to neighborhoods I don't want to go back to. And luckily I talked him out of it. But you got to get out there, you got to put the time in. You got to look at deals. We might look at 50 deals and buy one out of the 50. Everybody thinks real estate's easy. It's not easy if you want to do it right and make money. You got to put the sweat and time into it and the homework into it, but it's a market, right now the market makes no sense, but there's still always going to be a deal out there. You just got to look hard and you'll find something. That's why we went to hotels too. Multifamily, we can't touch. It makes no sense. $150 a door for an apartment that rents for $1,000, $1,100 a month. It's crazy. I'll be belly up. I'm not working for free. I'm not be working and having a negative cash flow. That'd be ridiculous. So what do? Luckily, the girl in the family went into the hotel business. She went to college, and we went into the hotel business. Started finding hotels. Hey, this hotel's beat down. The guy wants to sell it. The franchise wants you to spend millions of dollars fixing it up. Let's do it. We buy it. We fix it up. And then it's worth more money. We operate it better. We're doing Marriotts, we're doing Sheratons, we're doing Holiday Inns, we got Ramadas. You got to look for the upside. You got to look for the value add. You got to find stuff you can add value to. Even shopping centers. When you buy a shopping center, if you think you have a way of renting it and you think you're really sure you can get it rented, then you can buy empty shopping centers now with Amazon and everybody killing them and find stores that can't be hit by Amazon. You'll clean up right now in retail. I mean, there's a long list of retailers going out of business and shutting down. I mean, the internet has really, hurt retail a lot. But you can come in with a plan. You can take a big box and turn it into 4 small boxes. There's always opportunity in the market. You just got to find it. All right, so you can't rent to the guy that the internet killed. So you rent to people like nail shops. You can't go get your nails done on the internet. My wife ain't sitting in front of a computer twice a week getting her nails done. She's in the nail shop, the hair shops, the pizza joints, everything. You just got to change the type of customers in them. But right now, retail is where it's at because of the internet. We looked at a friggin' Macy's. They practically wanted to give us a Macy's in Lakeland in a mall. They said, just take it. We don't want to pay the friggin' tax bill on it. The Macy's corporate owned it. But there was a major production and I didn't have the experience or the plan. A lot of malls are going through this major transformation right now. They're trying to make them entertainment venues.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have a lot of faith in movie theaters because of all the way things are now. Nobody goes to the friggin' movies. Now you go to a movies, they serve you a first-class meal, to get you to go to the movies. Things are changing. You got to get with the times. You got to ride the waves.
Well, right now everybody's moving down here to retire, as they say. We have no state tax. Are you big into ALFs? What do you think about those things? We've got a lot of people buying them.
I've had a lot of opportunities in ALFs. It's not my cup of tea. I don't like a lot of responsibility. I don't like calling myself an expert, but me and my son, especially me, because I've spent many years doing senior housing. Senior housing is one of the greatest real estate investments you can make, but it has to be independent. I don't want to provide meals. I don't want to provide medical. I'll work with. We were great. We had a 20-story senior building right here in Clearwater, and we loved it. We participate in different programs and we did parties and did whatever we could, but I don't want to get too involved with the lives of people and taking care of them like an ALF. That's a major liability, a major responsibility. Now you're almost becoming in the medical field, and that's not for me. I just want to provide safe, decent, affordable housing for people, and we'll give them whatever perks we can, bingo or whatever, and things like that, but barbecues. But ALF's not for me. Way too much responsibility, way too much liability.
We have a call in here. Hold on a second. Bryce, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and ask Ben your question.
All right. Well, first off, Ben, big fan. Watched the show a really long time. Great content you're putting out there. But on the question, me and a few buddies from college actually just moved down to Tampa a few months ago starting work. And we're all trying to save money to eventually invest in a probably triplex. And mainly just wanting to know how you would go about just with 3 different people going in on an investment. Would you still do FHA coming out first time home? Or is there any other recommendation on what to buy other than that as an investment standpoint? And also, what area of Tampa would you recommend?
Number one, are you going to live in Tampa?
I am living in Tampa now, yeah.
Oh, so you live in Tampa. Are you currently renting or owning?
Renting right now.
Are you going to live in the property you're buying?
Yes.
All right. Well, then try to buy a fourplex, and get an FHA loan. It'd probably be the lowest down. I believe you can do 3% with an FHA loan. Don't hold me to this. Anything I say is subject to me being wrong, by the way. Let everybody know that.
Yeah,
Number one, you need to go to a bank. You need to sit down with a bank and find out what's the most you can loan, borrow. And if you can do stuff by yourself, I highly recommend you do stuff by yourself before you start doing partners. Unless your partners can really bring something significant to the table, unless you're doing a big deal. Try to do a small deal on your own. You're going to find your better bargains in the tougher neighborhoods. The market is turning right now. It's coming down. You might want to head out to some of the suburbs of Tampa. What? College. Hey, college, you can't go wrong.
Right around
University
USF.
area, USF.
You go around USF, you could find a deal still because the neighborhood might be a little bit rough. But if some college students can hang with that neighborhood. So if you could buy a deal in that neighborhood that might find it for cheaper, you could rent it out to college students. And then that's a good start, and then you might sell that and find a better neighborhood. But there's definitely right around USF, the neighborhood does, deteriorate kind of quickly. You just got to stay in that sweet zone.
Let me tell you, he's right about the college. You know why? You can rent by the bed. By the bed, baby. You go out and buy a 4-bedroom house. You can have 4 kids living in it. Okay? And that really, we made a lot of money on that deal too. We bought a 580 bed unit campus housing once. It was Boardwalk, was it? It was 140 something units, but they're all 4-bedroom units mostly. When we made 20,000 a door, we made 20,000 a bed. You multiply your profit by the bed. So, and then the kids share the kitchen, share the living room. But, you know, there's a lot of opportunity in student housing. There's always students coming in. You can always try to, you know, he's definitely right. It's very safe to rent to students. The parents back them up. They get student loans to back them up. You know, just frat houses might run you a little trouble.
Okay. All right, we have another call. Just give me 1 second here. Alex?
Yes.
You have a question for Ben? Go ahead.
Yes, I was just wondering how do you determine how much to pay for a property?
Depends. I mean, every property has a comparable. You got to look at what's sold recently that's similar to that property. That's the market. That determines what the value of that property is. That's how an appraiser is going to appraise the property. You know, so that's why you want to try to find stuff that's cheaper than what stuff is selling for. You know, you want to find something with added value. If you're looking to buy a house for yourself, you know, it's a little more personal. Don't pay more than the guy paid next door per square foot, unless you're getting some tremendous amenities. But, you know, it's all about comparables. That's the market. You know, it's per square foot. How much dollars per square foot are you paying for that property? And if it's income property, what's the return that you're getting?
Right. All right, we got another call. Steve, go ahead.
Hi, Ben. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Listen, question. I'm new to the investment game. I've got a duplex I purchased in Buffalo last year that's doing pretty well. And I have some additional money. I'd like to buy some additional properties, but I'm having trouble finding those, except for in a little bit of rougher neighborhoods. The market's gotten kind of hot here, so it's been difficult. But these are investment properties. Would you recommend I continue to buy smaller, you know, duplexes and triplexes, or I have some equity in that house I purchased already, and doing a 1031 exchange and moving to like a more profitable property and a bigger property and just do one at a time, or should I just continue to use my ability as a, you know, an investor, you know, not yet buying commercial and using, I think I can buy like 10 properties.
You know, you got a lot of options. You know, before I would sell a property, I would determine and find out how much cash can I pull out on a refi. I have actually refinanced properties for the same amount of money I think I would have ended up if I sold them. You know, because you got closing costs, you got commissions, you got, you know, things involved. So, you know, if you can refinance the property and it still cash flows, you might want to keep the property you got, borrow some more money for the property because borrowed money is not taxable. Take the borrowed money and then go out and buy something else. I mean, typically, you know, if you can hang in the tougher neighborhoods, I highly recommend you try to work with the housing authority because they're involved. They give you the support you need dealing with the tenant. People don't want to get kicked off of housing. You know, you can get I don't know, New York is probably tough on the gun permit laws. Gun carry laws.
Yeah.
It's easy. But,
You're both from New
you
York.
don't want to do nothing that's not going to be safe, but, you know, the fact remains, when I started out, I started in the rougher neighborhoods because that's where opportunity's at. You got to be willing to go where opportunity's at sometimes. And you just, you know, don't go there at night. You know, you got options, you know, but the whole point is finding the brokers and the real estate agents that can find you the deal. Okay. And go and see if you can refinance the property you got instead of selling it. Can you refinance it, have less cash flow, but still have to keep it and keep it having the cash flow? Because you want to have a good balance sheet when you go to the place.
Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, what I did was I bought it for cash, and then after 6 months, I refi, pull all my money back out, and it's still cash flow. You know, I
My guy.
really good.
Well, you might be able. Let me tell you something. How long ago did you buy the property?
It'll be a year in August.
It might be seasoned enough where you can get more cash out of it if it has the value. But the point is, keep the property. It's cash flowing with the mortgage, right?
Right.
Then keep that property. Then you got a little money coming in from that property. Take the money you got from the refi and go find another deal. You just got to get out there and find it. Go online. Go to LoopNet. Go to auction.com. Go to whatever site you have to go to. Go to every brokerage in town. Go to whoever the big brokers are that are moving commercial real estate or duplexes. Go to the MLS, even the local real estate agents can find you 1 to 4 units. You know, search everywhere and you will find something.
Yeah, I agree. That's great advice. Jeff, you have anything else?
Yeah, I want to know, what about this market correction? The sky's falling in, Chicken Little, everybody. Oh my God, running scared. What's going on? What do you think? What's your opinion?
I think the market in residential, I think we're pretty good, except for over $1 million. Yeah, houses that are $1 million, over $1 million, they're getting hit right now. I know. I just sold my beach house, and the market's softening on high-end homes. But regular residential housing, I think, is going pretty good because interest rates are so low. Commercial real estate, the only reason why right now commercial real estate is so high is because of the interest rate is so low. I just signed a commitment letter for 3.5% interest only. That's like free money. Okay, I mean, it wasn't even lower back in the day when LIBOR was nothing or a quarter and my rates were low, but interest rates are keeping everything low. But I've never seen so many newer A properties on the market that were just built, ready to be sold. Normally, the developers hold on to them. I'm telling you, I don't know about other states, but Florida has been overbuilt, and the shit's going to hit the fan. I think there's going to be at least a 20% correction. If they're trying to get 120 a door right now for an apartment, the prices next year is going to be 100. It's about 20% overpriced in the market right now in apartments and commercial real estate. Cap rates are definitely going up. I mean, we just bought a Home Depot for like a 7 cap. I mean, and back in the day, you'd be lucky to get one for a 5.5 cap. So cap rates are going up. People are definitely, that's already hit retail already. Everybody knows retail has been hit hard. But there's going to be about a 20% correction. It's not going to be a big crash because the individual residential guys, we're not going to go through what we went through in 2008. 2008 was full of fraud. Let's just say it like it is.
Oh, yeah.
It was all inflated fraud, and the banks and nobody cared. Everybody was a millionaire, and you qualified for a loan, and it was a big mess. But Wall Street made that mess, I think. But anyway, we're going to see a 20% correction in commercial market, I'm sure. You already seen it in retail. Retail's going to hurt for a while.
Well, what is your future? I mean, you got any TV shows coming up? What's
we're going to start our own YouTube channel. We just had a meeting today. My son's going to start helping me, and we're going to start doing a YouTube channel because we really do like helping people, and it's a lot of fun. It kind of breaks up the monotony of playing with numbers all day and real estate, something we enjoy doing. So, if you just follow my name, I think it's going to probably just be under my name, and you should see something on YouTube real soon here.
And we'll put all the links to your Twitter and pages and everything like that for everybody afterwards.
Very good. Very good.
I have one other question for you. Is there 1031 exchanges? You're rolling your profits over and over and over again. Is there any way to take profit out while doing one, or no? You're gonna get taxed on it.
So here we go. Now we're going to talk secrets again.
Yep.
Nobody better not be on the IRS. No, the IRS is legal. Everything I do is legal. The one thing I never do is anything illegal.
It's after 5 p.m.
My accountant is the most anal legal guy there is. Thank God. He's kept me out of trouble my whole life. All right, so typically the way guys make money is this. You take your 1031 funds from the sale of the previous property. You roll it into the new property. You roll all the funds in it. Now you're sitting with a property where you didn't need a big mortgage on it. You may only go out and get a 50% LTV because you got 1031 funds. You don't need 80% LTV. So you roll into the next deal at 50% LTV from the bank. You roll your 1031 funds in there. You get your hands around the property, and then you refinance. And you pull cash out.
Fraud money's not taxable.
Because bank money loans are not taxable. And then you get your hands on some cashola, and your wife can get off your goddamn back.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm going to find that guy Jimmy Choo, and I'm going to kill him. Oh, shit. He bought a goddamn Jimmy Choo pair of shoes. I'm going to chew him up.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, my wife, yeah.
Holy shit. I said, they're made in China. Why are you paying so much for the fucking shoes?
the Christian Louboutin shoes kill me too.
Man, Louis better be hiding somewhere when I get a hold of him. He better hope I never find him.
So hanging out with Hulk Hogan, and I see Jimmy Hart all the time, of course. And I remember watching all those guys when I grew up, and even after I knew it was fake, I still watch them. So what's all your great experiences with them? I know the hotel thing with Jimmy, possibly.
You know, Jimmy actually became a very close friend of mine, like a relative, because, you know, he's like in his 70s now, but he's in better shape than me. And, you know, when I opened up Hogan's Beach down in Rocky Point, we'd hold a concert or something, 1,500 people would show up, 4,000 people would show up. And Jimmy actually moved in a hotel. He was there every day, signing autographs, taking pictures, you know, doing everything. I mean, he gave me the unbelievable loyalty I've never seen in my life. So, you know, Hulk would come around. You didn't want, you know, Hulk was a great guy. But, you know, when Hulk came around, holy shit, you need security. Everybody goes nuts. So, you know, Hulk used to call me up and say, hey, brother, why didn't you call me to come over? I wanted to protect you. I mean, they, you know, when you start feeding people alcohol and partying and all that, things get out of hand. And he used to scare the shit out of me, that place, you know. But it was an experience. But, you know, everybody, you know, helped me, and it was great, you know, but, you know, it wasn't for me. The bar business, I had no experience in the bar business. And we had more business than anybody, you know, so it got out of hand. It was you know, I just didn't like it. I didn't want to grow in that business.
Well, you know, he's really primarily the one that did change wrestling. Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he, you know,
He was
back
the
in the
guy.
80s, he was the man. He's an icon. He lives right here in Clearwater, you know. He's a great guy. You see him around town all the time. And,
Oh, really?
you know, and
Well, he did. He changed the sport, or the show, as they say, but he was the one that really got it off the charts, because people were barely making anything back then, and he really made it. He made it. He made the sport.
he definitely took it to the next level and turned the screws on the guys that ran wrestling, so all the other wrestlers started getting paid more money. So, yeah, he was a pioneer and definitely turned it around in the 80s.
All right, so
They told him, I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't like talking much about other people's business because I don't want to come beat me up. But
right.
He actually was told not to do that movie with Rocky by wrestling. In fact, he was told not to do it. He was threatened not to do it. But he did it anyway, just, you know, and that's really helped his career and helped a lot more people look at wrestling and you know, brought it to another level.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. It's definitely entertainment.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And he's a big motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yes.
God.
Yes.
He's big.
For people out there that didn't know, I just wanted to announce a few of the things that we're affiliated with, and then I believe we have another question coming up. I see it coming up on the screen, but I wanted to do a shameless plug for Sunshine State Title. Myself and John and my two sons, Robert Austin, are owners as well, with Jimmy and Evan Miller, two of the best probate attorneys. So they help us out in everything that we do. And then we have Palm Beach Investors Realty as well, where we help the people to find property. So what do you got there, John?
Hey, didn't we go to Palm? Is Opalaka near Palm Beach? No,
It is. It is. Actually, it's in North Miami. You got to go past Joe Robbie Stadium right there on Highway or 27th Avenue.
Oh my
Opalaka.
God! One time we found the cheapest Rolls-Royce Phantom for my son's 30th birthday, and we had to go to Opalaka to buy it. And we bought it from a guy. I don't want to tell you about this guy. He wanted nothing but cash. He wanted gold. And we were scared. I mean, I tell you, it was rough. We went to Opalaka to bring a guy. We paid him like what? 70 grand cash. I mean, I wouldn't leave the bank with the money. I told him, you meet me here at the money in the bank.
Yeah.
We sat there and counted out the money, and we got the cheapest Phantom Rolls Royce. It was an 04 Rolls Royce in the country.
I sold it.
And he sold it and made money.
That's another one of the questions Jordan wanted to know. How much money do you think somebody should have saved up before they start investing in real estate, buy their first property? 100 grand, 150,000?
No, whatever it takes to get in the door. Get your foot in the door. If you can get an FHA loan with 3% down, you need $3 grand for that 100 grand. Get your foot in the door And as long as you can make sure that you're going to be able to pay your bills and pay your mortgage, that's the whole point of it. I don't care if you make $100 a month. If you got nothing and you buy a piece of real estate, even if you only make $100 a month, the experience will bring you to make more money and bring you to do bigger deals.
Don't cut it so close.
But don't cut it close. Leave a cushion. Make at least $200 a month.
Yeah. Jeff, you know I guess the rules, I guess, on this when it comes to FHA. You can ask for money back, I guess, also, right? So.
Oh, yes, up to a 6% seller concession. And if you're flipping the property, of course, selling it, you got to wait 91 days from the date of the purchase to the date of the contract writing for the next sale, which is something the flippers run into a lot where they get the property done real quick. And FHA buyer is our biggest market right now. So, yeah, that does, knowing the rules, I guess, that's the challenge.
Having a really good mortgage broker doing your FHA loan or a bank is important. Having an agent, but the thing is, I hope everybody understands out there, that most people buy homes with FHA loans because they don't have to put a lot of money down. If you go out and you do have the 20% to put down and buy a fixer-upper, the reason why they can't buy it because it has to pass FHA inspection. You can go out, you can put a little lipstick on a pig and make it pass FHA inspection, and then you can sell it for a lot more money because the market will pay more because that person's only putting down 3%. You can make a lot of money in houses if you can find stuff that don't need major work, but get it to pass FHA inspection, find out what it needs to pass the FHA inspection, and buy it with cash if you can come up with the down payment. Or there are some banks, I think, that'll actually loan with 10% down too. It all depends on your income and your individual, how much, what you got. There are banks that'll loan with 10% down on a home. So go see a banker. The banker is the key to everything.
Yeah.
What about financing on commercial to where it's not fully occupied? Is that a lot tougher? That doesn't exist?
It depends on the cash flow. Right now you can buy retail centers where it benefits you that they're empty because you don't count their income towards the cap rate. There's no income to count. But if you rent it, you have automatic upside. So, it's a two-way sword. But, if you're not going to, a bank's not going to value it. They're only going to value it based on its cash flow.
Right.
Now, in these apartment buildings too, washer and dryer, are they all paid? Do you give these things extra? I mean, is that an extra profit center, added value?
Every situation's different. It depends on the market you're in, what you got to give away, what you don't have to give away. We always made a lot of money off of our laundry machines and our laundry rooms. It's a good cash flow. It's definitely a part of the income of the property. You can rent. I know, Ben, you used to lease machines, right?
I mean, you can do it a couple ways. I mean, you can buy the machines that are quarter coin operated, put them in a central location and just, collect your quarters every month. Or you can actually, hook up with a leasing company where you lease the machine from them on a bulk rate at $15 a month. And then you turn around and rent it to your tenants for $30 or $45 a month, or you include it in your rent because now you can increase your rent because you're including a washer and dryer. So you might get a $45 rent bump because you get to include a washer and dryer, but it only costs you $15 a month. So now you're making an extra $30 a month. Now you do that on a property that's got 100 units. Now you're bringing in an extra $3,000 a month, and you times that by 12. I mean, you're bringing in big money annually. You just increase the value of that property by,
I mean, these days I'm seeing everything. They're charging people for valet trash.
Yeah, valet trash.
They come in and pick the garbage up for $15 a month or something, or $20 a month.
That's right.
Garbage in front of your door, and somebody comes along and picks it up.
It's true.
I mean, they got all kinds of ways that you can charge tenants for different things,
Me and Jeff came across an apartment building. We thought this was nuts. Next to one we were buying, the landlord was actually giving boat dock space away with the rental.
Giving what space?
Boat dock space.
Boat dock space.
Well, if there's a dock with the apartment, then,
that makes that
he
apartment
must be
more
desperate
valuable.
if he's doing that.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be, but yeah.
I mean, normally dock space is pretty expensive,
Comes at a
That's
premium.
waterfront, that's high end.
Yeah.
But whatever you can do to make the property better and make more money, you have to sit there and think about it, and you should do it. So
that's the value add. I mean, that's the value add point to any.
And
property.
Upgrading them, a lot of people will pay the extra money if you get a cheap piece of granite in there versus Formica. It's crazy, but true. You can spend a little bit of money doing little tiny things to an apartment to make it just look so nicer that you can charge extra money. Crown moldings, you just have to do it in an affordable way. Upgrade cabinets. He doesn't even upgrade the cabinets. He changes the doors and the knobs on them and makes them look like they're upgraded. You don't have to change it. The cabinet's in good shape. You're not going to see the cabinet. Just buy doors and buy knobs, fancy chrome knobs on them. Appliances, new appliances. You could buy a stove decent enough for an apartment for $300. I've seen them on sale, or even $350.
No, if you
Sears, wherever.
You could buy a
stainless,
nice used glass top stove now that looks really nice.
I mean, you can do things, blinds, whatever. There's little things you can do to an apartment to upgrade it and make it worth more.
Yeah. So I have another question about what's your thought on, myself and Jeff own the National REIC, obviously a group of real estate investment clubs, across the U.S. And Jeff and his two sons, Robert and Austin, own the Palm Beach REIA. What are your thoughts on going to your investors going to their local real estate investment clubs? Networking, obviously. Did you ever do?
Listen, if you surround yourself by people that are trying to do deals and want to do deals, you got to get in the right sandbox. So as long as you're networking around people that are trying to make money and doing the same thing you're doing, you're going to get ahead. You want to surround yourself with people that are, that are doing the same thing you're doing. So real estate investment clubs are great. I don't like their whole REIC, that kind of REIC. Reminds me of the Nazis. I'm Jewish. You better change that a little, but no. Joining clubs are great. Being around other people that are trying to do the same thing you're doing.
I mean,
Ben's doing that. Ben was last night with one, but he goes to the free dinner.
And the dinner wasn't that good, unfortunately. Thought it was, but even last night, you getting in these professional atmospheres, and I probably already have the connections through my father, but I still want to go out there and network with these people and talk to them because I might find somebody to sell a building to, or they might be selling a building, and just getting in there or learning the techniques that they're using to make your property better. So I was looking at a property yesterday that the whole reason for this meeting was to show off this brand new 2019 construction building. They have the same cabinets that I'm upgrading my units. So they have 2019 construction units where I have units that were built in the 80s, and they're using the same cabinet doors that I'm putting in. They're using the same countertops, the same vinyl flooring, the same carpet. So that just shows me that I can take my older properties that, might need a little love and put in new granite countertops or some new cabinet doors or maybe some new cabinets.
Ooh, a related group? You went, related group.
The related group. They opened a brand new,
They built a brand new building in Tampa here.
They're getting $2,600 a month average effective rent.
But they're also selling one on the island right now. So they better. I'm telling you, all the developers, I think, are going to take a hit.
Well, they did that,
especially when their interest only stops and they have to start making principal payments on their loans. Their rents are, I think, way overpriced. I don't think there's enough people to pay those kind of rents, and they're not going to be able to fill their vacancies. So I'm going to see a correction in the A market. We might get lucky and pick up some A deals, hopefully.
Yeah, you'll definitely see a correction in the A market. But, just getting into the right circle, and that's something my dad...
And seeing what the big shots are doing. He'll go out and look at the big shots are doing, and then he'll copy them on our old properties to try to, be in the right, market.
You got to get in the right circle. My dad started out meeting the right people, knowing the right brokers, just getting out there, finding the right, people to hang around and do deals with, and that's how he got in the industry. So going to something like a club or these meetings or these social events, that's the way to go.
Positive.
I always said that. That's the way to break in.
You're doing something positive, it can't hurt you.
What's called motivation. Everybody comes there, they get excited.
One guy may not have the money to do a deal, and you might.
Mm-hmm.
I bought deals from guys. I've had guys buy deals for me on the auction steps. I won the auction on a condo in San Francisco once. The guy offered me $50,000 because he said he should have kept bidding against me. and I make 50 grand on the courthouse steps in 5 minutes.
All right.
No,
That's a good day.
Yeah.
never know.
That is a good day. Well, we're trying to make ourselves recession proof. That's why we've opened all these different companies. We don't want to live through the last one because we figure, with title companies, insurance companies, member benefit company, investment clubs, all this different stuff. We're just getting ready. We want to be bulletproof this time.
You know what I want? The only form of real estate that I still have an interest in trying to get into, cemeteries. People are dying to get in them. You don't complain. You got no maintenance except the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be a good business. Maybe we can start building mausoleums, and just putting people in drawers. That's got to be a dream management business.
Sure, it's probably, yeah.
So what do you got, John?
Well, that's pretty much all the time we got here. So I think we're gonna cut it off here now.
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to do the podcast with you and look forward to meeting you guys.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to put this out every year.
Miller-Largo. What does he call it? Miller-Largo? What's it called? Drugs place?
Mar-a-Lago.
Mar-a-Lago. I'll see you at Mar-a-Lago on the 14th hole, baby.
There you go.
They won't let me in the gate.
No.
I grew up in New York, while he was pretty much hustling in New York. So, I got to admit, I always did look up to him. As a kid, being broke and poor in New York City,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
he definitely made a lot of moves, and he was in the right place at the right time with the right money. And you can't knock a guy for being a hustler. Personally, I'm sure, he's not perfect like nobody is, except me.
Right. He got into Manhattan right at the right time, I guess, when nobody
His family built affordable housing. His family, I think, were pioneers in what they call co-ops, where he gave an opportunity to the working class blue collar worker to buy their apartment.
Yeah, his father, yeah.
His family built tremendous amounts of blue collar working class housing in Brooklyn and Queens. So, hey, he did what he had to do, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right,
guys, well, we appreciate it. And if you're ever down in Clearwater, give us a ring.
We will.
We'll give you a call. Thank you
All
both,
right.
and have a wonderful evening.
Take care, you too. Bye-bye.
Everybody hope everybody enjoyed. And remember, if you go to NREICexpo.com, Ben will be a speaker at the national event. Jeff, you have anything else?
January the 11th at the Palm Beach County Convention Center. Our main speaker will be Ben Mallah.
Hey, they still have the Cheesecake Factory down the block from there?
Yeah, right there in City Place.
All
Right
right,
across the street.
up there.
All right, I'm ready. Just tell me when.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. See y'all later.
Bye-bye.
All right. Everyone have a great night.